right now.
The staff at the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office have an especially tough job ahead of them. They now have to identify a person who San Antonio police say was burned beyond recognition in an overnight crash.
It happened on the northeast side on Loop 410 near Interstate 35, and Katrina Weber is at the scene and shows us why it affected traffic on and below both highways.
Based on what police told us, it was a violent crash scene. They say they found that car in pieces under that overpass. That was the result of the car launching off that highway and crashing to the ground below. The car also burst into flames. Police say it wasn't until firefighters put out the fire that they found a body inside. It appears the car had been traveling along Loop 410 near the Interstate 35 exchange when the driver lost control for some reason and flew over the guardrails without even hitting or damaging them. Police still don't know why or how this happened. In fact, because of the fire, they weren't even sure right away of the gender of the person who was killed. At this point, they have not said anything about other cars being involved, but a lot of other early morning drivers were impacted by the crash. It took several hours for police to complete their investigation and reopen these roads. Reporting from the northeast side, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
At noon, a jury now deliberating in a case involving two Bexar County deputies. They were hit with a lawsuit after a deadly shooting back in 2015. Video shows the moments Gilbert Flores was killed after being shot by deputies Greg Vasquez and Robert Sanchez, and it appears he was surrendering as his hands were in the air. Flores' widow and family filed a lawsuit shortly after. During the trial, Vasquez explained that he had tried several times to de-escalate the situation, even after he says Flores had lunged at him with a knife, taken his stun gun, and started looking in his patrol unit. Lawyers for the family have pushed on the fact that Flores had his hands up for about 3 seconds and wasn't lunging at him when he fired the shot.
A 40-year-old man shot and left for dead on the city's northwest side. So now police are releasing new surveillance video in the hopes of catching the man's killer. According to the officer, the shooting happened back on March 11th, early in the morning, just as Scott Carter was going to work. This was on Storywood Drive near Loop 410 and Vance Jackson Road. Police say that at some point a driver in a newer model black F-150 drove by. Someone inside that vehicle got out and shot Carter. That person got back into the truck and then took off. Carter was pronounced dead at the scene. And a property owner coming face to face with a gun when she confronted a suspect. That's according to SAPD, who says it happened on Arbor Place, not too far from North General McMullen and Culebra on the west side. Officers say the victim was on the property, which is under construction, and then noticed that someone was standing near an air conditioning unit. When she told the person to leave, police say he pulled out a gun, pointed it at her, and then ran off. The victim was able to take photos with her phone. If you have information on any of these cases, call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
A vehicle and a trailer home burned to the ground in East Bexar County. Happened around 10 last night at the Windmill Heights RV Park near Loop 1604 and Highway 87. Fire crews say when they got there, they saw flames coming from the vehicle and the home, both destroyed. However, no one was hurt.
And the struggle between the South San ISD Board of Trustees continues. Last night was the first meeting since December when all the trustees were present for the first time in months. There was a heated discussion, then a board majority voting to reassess the board roles of president, vice president, and secretary after only 3 months. The district superintendent still on administrative leave. And in the meantime, an interim superintendent is trying to keep the district staff moving forward with day-to-day operations.
There is still time for you to voice your opinion about plans to help the East Side community grow and develop economically. Last night, more than 100 residents and businesses got a chance to see the draft for the SA Tomorrow East Side Community Area Plan. It is part of a larger comprehensive plan that covers the entire city. It's been in the works for several years. Some of the improvements include crosswalks, trees, public art, and bike lanes. Residents can provide staff feedback on the plans until April 17th. City staff will then move forward with finalizing the plans and present them to City Council for a vote by the end of this year.
Each visit to the gas pump tends to be an unhappy surprise. Prices remaining very high.
And now more states are stepping in to give some relief by temporarily suspending gas taxes. ABC's Rhiannon Ali has more.
The pain at the pump continues even as gas prices have dropped slightly in recent weeks. The national average is now $4.24 per gallon.
You know, the gas prices are high. Everybody can't afford those gas prices.
In Oregon, thieves are stealing gas, targeting these U-Haul trucks.
All of our trucks have been vandalized.
Lawmakers under pressure to act. Connecticut is the latest state to pass legislation to temporarily suspend the state's 25-cent per gallon gas tax.
What we're trying to do with these tax cuts is do everything we can to provide a little bit of relief to people.
Georgia and Michigan passing similar measures. Maryland was the first state to suspend its gas tax, shaving 36 cents a gallon off gasoline, effective immediately for 30 days, saving the average driver $5 to fill up.
The dramatic spikes at the gas pump, at the grocery store, and elsewhere are hard to ignore.
In Chicago, long lines for former mayoral candidate Dr. Willie Wilson's free gas giveaway. It's the second one this month.
People that need the $50 a piece of gasoline, I'm enjoying it more than them enjoying it.
In Los Angeles, the average gallon is now more than $6. California Governor Gavin Newsom proposing a $400 rebate per registered car. That's up to $800 per family. And pushing lawmakers to make public transit free for 3 months. But if passed, it wouldn't take effect until July. Lawmakers across the country are appealing to the federal government for relief in a way that would look a lot like COVID-era stimulus checks. Rhiannon Ali, ABC News, New York.
We check in on the drought and the high fire threat today. Also, we look towards the weekend and our next rain chance. All of that coming up.
And a look at the regional Final Four here at the AT&T Center, tipping off tonight. Larry Ramirez with a final NCAA preview.
The president of Ukraine now calling for, quote, military assistance without limitations, end quote. That plea coming as he addressed an emergency NATO summit today.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces were able to destroy a Russian ship carrying weapons. ABC's James Longman has the latest from Ukraine.
1 month of war, and President Zelensky had a powerful message overnight, calling people all around the world to come out in solidarity marches for Ukraine. This is as the Ukrainian military continues to inflict serious damage on Russian forces. They say they've destroyed a Russian ship at the occupied port of Berdansk. The scale of the explosion visible for miles, significant, they say, because it carried weapons and ammunition to continue the siege of Mariupol and prevent evacuations there. The magnitude of the destruction there is now becoming clearer. This shocking drone footage, which has been filmed by a far-right paramilitary group who are fighting with the Ukrainians, shows a city in ruins, apartment buildings hollowed out, smoke pouring off into the distance. But Ukrainian forces will not surrender. US defense officials now say that while the Russians heavily bombard this besieged city, the fighting there remains very contested. This comes as the United States has officially now accused Russia of war crimes. They pointed to atrocities in the city and across the country. As many as 100,000 people are still trapped in Mariupol. We spoke with one family who was able to escape. Ekaterina was trying to flee with her family when she says Russian troops opened fire on their car. She showed me the damage to the hood. They'd been trying to get to her father, but they were forced to leave him behind. This is just one example of the unimaginable choices people here have had to make. US defense officials say that the Russian military east of Kyiv has now been pushed back to 34 miles outside of the capital, and to the north, the Russians are now in defensive positions. Well, President Zelensky has been speaking to NATO leaders today. They have already committed to more resources, more troops being sent to this part of the world. By starting this war, Vladimir Putin has got exactly what he said he didn't want: an empowered NATO. James Longman, ABC News in Ukraine.
Live look outside. Ooh, it's so pretty.
So nice.
What are we doing in here?
That's a good question. It's a good question. It is so beautiful. The only caveat that I have for the forecast is the wind. We are going to get some gusty winds today. We're already seeing some of those gusty winds. It does pose another day of fire concerns. That's what we're looking at, especially out west of San Antonio. The aquifer is down again today, down 0.2 of a foot to 655 even. In your pollen count, just 2 molds and oak. That's it. We are moving into the middle of oak season, but so far oak has not been so bad. We do have some rain chances in the forecast, but in the meantime, drought's still very much an issue. We're going to take a look at the drought monitor and take a look at that 7-day forecast too. Coming up.
He's a blast from the past, a popular voice back on the FM airwaves here in San Antonio.
RJ Marquez tells us about Johnny Ramirez's new morning gig and how a rebranded radio station is spinning Tejano right into a new era.
Tejano music is back on the FM dial across the city of San Antonio. We visited with the one and only Johnny Ramirez to tell us more about Tejano 95.7 and find out about the future of this music genre.
Thank you so much for checking out Tejano 95.7.
Johnny Ramirez is back in the booth for the rebranded 95.7 FM.
Thank you so much for allowing us to come into your homes, your car.
The station recently switched from La Ley to an all-dedicated Tejano station, giving the sound of San Antonio a citywide signal.
It's important that, especially San Antonio has a city that you can hear if you're on the north, south, east, west side, everywhere.
Tejano 95.7 just launched in March, bringing back the longtime San Antonio DJ for its morning drive. Ramirez says he's ready to spin the classics and also introduce listeners to a new generation of Tejano music.
There's so many young artists that are hungry to bring Tejano back to the airwaves.
Ramirez says it's all about connecting to the community that makes us the Tejano capital of the world.
It's who we are. It's part of our culture, part of our tradition, part of our heritage.
And with this switch, Ramirez hopes Tejano music continues its recent rebirth.
You never know what you're missing until it's gone, and then all of a sudden you're going, what happened? Well, what happened is, Tejano is back on the FM dial, and hopefully it's here to stay. And
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
And now you know what he looks like behind the mic.
Yeah.
Usually you don't know what these DJs look like.
We all started in radio, didn't we?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Good stuff, radio.
All right.
Yep.
We are looking at serious situation with our drought.
Unfortunately so. I wish I could tell you we have rain in the forecast. There is some, but not enough to cure us from this drought that we're in right now. You look at the drought monitor, and this is just coming in today. We're at 88%. 88% of the state is in drought. Some of the state saw some improvement, especially Monday with some of the rain. Unfortunately, it did come with severe weather. We didn't see that here in San Antonio, and especially as you go west of town, the drought is really starting to kick up. We have exceptional drought now. For places like Carrizo Springs and closer to the border. But even here in San Antonio, starting to see some extreme drought coming into Bexar County. Not a good situation. Kind of reminds me of 2011 when we dealt with quite a bit of drought around here. And Medina Lake tells the same story. It's 22% full. It's down 51 feet. It's down 4 feet just over the last 3 months. And I mentioned 2011. If March were to end today, this would be the driest March we've seen since 2011. We only saw 1/100 of an inch of rain back then. So far this month, 1/4 of an inch. And if we ended today, it would also rank as the 14th driest all time for the month of March here in San Antonio. So just gives you some perspective there. Hopefully we can get a little more rain before the month ends. The problem with that is not only are we in drought, but we've also got very low dew points, a lot of dry air in place, and these gusty winds. Right now, winds are gusting close to 30 here in San Antonio. I think we'll see some gusts in that range throughout the afternoon, and that means that there is a real risk for grass fires. Winds could gust as high as, again, 30, 35 miles per hour through the afternoon. They will die down tonight, and I think by tomorrow we'll see a lot less in the way of wind. In the meantime, red flag warnings are in effect today. Fires can start easily, spread rapidly. You don't want to do things like burn trash. You don't want to throw those cigarette butts out the window because these fires can occur very, very quickly, as we said. Let's go outside for you. Blue skies. It is nice minus the wind. 67 degrees at the airport, 71 Stinson, 67 at Kelly, 66 right now at Randolph. And we've got some 70s for those south of Highway 90, 70 in Uvalde, 70 in Hondo, 73 Pleasanton. A little closer in, 67 in Comfort, 61 Bernie Stage, one of the cooler spots, 62 right now, Canyon Lake. In our forecast today, calls for temperatures to be in the mid to upper 70s by this afternoon. I think we top out close to 77 degrees, 75, 6 o'clock, 71 by 7 p.m. And then we fall into the 60s and even 50s by midnight and by tomorrow morning. It's chilly again. We started off in the 40s this morning. I think that's where we'll be for Friday morning as well. Dew points, very low right now. We mentioned that fire danger. The good news is that dew points do start to increase as we get into the weekend. And then by next week, they're high enough to where once we have a storm system moving in, and it's going to take until Tuesday or Wednesday for that to happen, that we could get some rain chances back in the forecast. The only problem with that is it's that time of year that we could see some strong storms too. A little too early to talk about severe weather yet, but a possibility of some storms as we get into Tuesday. Here's the extended forecast. 86 Friday, 87 Saturday, 86 on Sunday. Wind returns over the weekend, by the way. And then 85 Monday, 84 on Tuesday with a 20% chance of rain.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, the good news for the Spurs is they get to play Portland 2 more times before the season's over.
Yeah, and they also get to face the Pelicans again coming up on Saturday. And that's the team, of course, they're chasing in the Western Conference for the play-in tournament. So the Spurs hammered the Blazers, which is what David was referring to. It was a big victory for the silver and black. And the Texas A&M towel boy at their basketball game last night was left shaking his head. We'll show you why coming up.
You know, once you're in the Spurs family, you're family for life. I mean, those are great friends, and I'm so appreciative of Pop for so many things.
Houston Cougars men's head basketball coach Kelvin Sampson has fond memories of working with Pop and the Spurs in big board sports. Speaking of Coach Pop and his Spurs, they beat up the Portland Trail Blazers last night. Early on, the Blazers were in control. Former Spur Drew Eubanks gets the putback dunk, and it's 9-2 Blazers. He led his team with 20 points, which was pretty cool. Then after that, the Spurs caught fire. Devin Vassell for a catch-and-shoot three. It's good. He scored 16 points. The Spurs made 19 three-pointers, matching their season high. First quarter, final seconds, DeJounte Murray hits a triple shot, and that put the Spurs on top 45-27 after one. He scored a game-high 28 points. The Spurs led by as many as 43, and they cruised, winning 133-96.
We got players who could shoot the three. I see them work out in practice every day and shoot around, and I mean we have a lot of people that can shoot. So when we're open, that's a great shot to take.
Spurs will play at the Pelicans Saturday 4 p.m. and the Spurs currently trail them by 1.5 games for the final play-in spot. Number 1, Texas A&M playing number 2, Wake Forest in the NIT quarterfinals. Quentin Jackson steals it for the Aggies and goes slam dunk as they go up by 18. Late second half now, Wade Taylor the fourth with the steal and layup in transition. But the A&M towel guy left his towel out on the court, nearly taking out Taylor. Towel guy, very embarrassed, just sits back in his stool. It's okay, towel dude. Your Aggies still won the game 67-52.
They were a hard prep, but I thought our staff, the adjustments that we made were spot on, and I thought the execution by our players of that nuance was really important.
Texas A&M will face Washington State in the NIT semifinal, Madison Square Garden on March 29th at 8:30 p.m. The Sweet 16 tips off tonight with 4 games, including Houston versus Arizona in the South region at the AT&T Center. The Cougars are coached by head coach Kelvin Sampson, who had his career in 2008 revived when he was hired by the Spurs as an advisor after he was forced to resign from Indiana due to NCAA violations. He says, once a Spur, always a Spur.
Yesterday, I went over to the Spurs practice facility, and of course, Pop left me a bottle of wine. Really, really nice note, and a bunch of Spurs gear. It felt like a camper. Pop has really enjoyed watching this team. We played Memphis in the conference championship game, ever how many days ago that was, and he sent me this extended long text. Of course, your phone starts blowing up, but RC called as soon as he found out we were going to be in San Antonio.
Here's your matchups for tonight at the AT&T Center. Number 11, Michigan versus number 2, Villanova at 6:29 p.m. And then Houston and Arizona at 8:59 tonight.
It was no cheap bottle of wine either. But
no, you know that was pricey.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Larry.
These days, you can get anything delivered right to your door, including groceries. How one app is trying to make its service even more convenient, especially if you're in a hurry. We have details coming up. As Russia's war on Ukraine enters its second month, President Biden is now on the world stage meeting with key U.S. allies.
Karen Travers is in Brussels with the latest on the quickly arranged summit.
Good afternoon. It's a very long day of meetings for President Biden here at NATO. Senior administration officials say the mood here is sober and resolute, and that world leaders have a strong sense that this is a very significant moment in history. The leaders of all 30 NATO member countries coming together here in Brussels for a quickly arranged summit, a powerful show of unity against Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A key goal, strengthening the response from the U.S. and European allies and further punishing Russia for its aggression. The NATO leaders heard a sharp message from Ukrainian President Zelensky, who asked for more help against Russia's attacks. But notably, Zelensky did not repeat his request for a no-fly zone and did not request NATO membership for Ukraine. President Biden was the first NATO leader to speak after President Zelensky. He reiterated that the U.S. will continue its strong support for Ukraine. Today, the president announced the administration is sending $1 billion in humanitarian aid to support people within Ukraine and those impacted by Russia's war. This funding will go to food, shelter, clean water, medical supplies, and other assistance. President Biden also announcing new sanctions against Russia, targeting a majority of the Duma, the lower level of parliament. The sanctions also target over 40 Russian defense companies and more members of Russia's elite. President Biden wraps up his day here at NATO with a press conference, a chance for him to lay out what world leaders achieved today. Karen Travers, ABC News, traveling with the president at NATO.
And we are awaiting any minute for President Biden to speak about that summit. We'll bring it to you live right here on the news at noon. Meantime, an overhaul of the U.S. asylum system now in the works. The Biden administration working on regulations that would settle claims more quickly and help with the massive backlog in immigration courts. The plan is to let asylum officers decide what should happen instead of having them wait on an immigration judge. Right now, stats from Syracuse University show about 1.7 million cases are pending in immigration court. Officials say they're going to need to bolster staff to make this work, so things will start off pretty small. They'll likely get started this summer.
WNBA star Brittany Griner has now been detained in Russia for more than a month. U.S. officials were finally allowed to visit with her. The U.S. State Department says it made contact with Griner and says she is, quote, in good condition, end quote. The seven-time WNBA All-Star was arrested in February at a Moscow airport. Russian state media reported that Russian authorities say they found vape cartridges containing hashish oil in Griner's bag. She was in Russia because she plays basketball in that country during the off-season.
The first woman U.S. Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, has passed away from cancer. She became Secretary of State in 1997. She wrote in her memoir that she wanted to be remembered for taking a, quote, strong stand on the side of freedom, unquote. She was 84 years old.
The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits last week fell to its lowest level in 52 years. It's a sign that the market continues to gain strength in the midst of rising costs and an ongoing virus pandemic. The Labor Department says jobless claims fell by 28,000 to 187,000 last week. Earlier this month, the government reported that employers added more than 600,000 jobs in February, the largest monthly total since July, and the unemployment rate dropped to 3.8% from 4% in January.
As promised, the president now continuing with that summit. He is now going to talk to us about what's going on in Ukraine.
All the press is here. You must be getting very tired. Am I the 16th or 17th? At any rate, all kidding aside, thank you for taking the time. Today marks 1 month since Russia began its carnage in Ukraine, the brutal invasion of Ukraine. And we held a NATO summit the very next day. At that time, my overwhelming objective in wanting that summit was to have absolute unity on 3 key important issues among our NATO and European allies. First was to support Ukraine with military and humanitarian assistance. Second was to impose the most significant sanctions, economic sanction regime ever, in order to cripple Putin's economy and punish him for his actions. Third was to fortify the eastern flank of our NATO allies, who were obviously very, very concerned and somewhat worried what would happen. We accomplished all three of these, and today we're determined to sustain those efforts and to build on them. The United States is committed to provide over $2 billion in military equipment to Ukraine since I became president: anti-air systems, anti-armor systems, ammunition, and our weapons are flowing into Ukraine as I speak. And today I'm announcing the United States is prepared to commit more than $1 billion in humanitarian assistance to help get relief to millions of Ukrainians affected by the war in Ukraine. Many Ukrainian refugees will wish to stay in Europe, closer to their homes. But we also will welcome 100,000 Ukrainians to the United States with a focus on reuniting families. And we will invest $320 million to bolster democratic resilience and defend human rights in Ukraine and neighboring countries. We're also coordinating with the G7 and the European Union on food security as well as energy security. And I'll have more to say about that tomorrow. We're also announcing new sanctions of more than 400 individuals and entities in alignment with the European Union. More than 300 members of the Duma, oligarchs, and Russian defense companies that fuel the Russian war machine. In addition to the 100,000 U.S. forces now stationed in Europe to defend NATO territory, NATO established, as you already know, 4 new battle groups from Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Slovakia to reinforce the Eastern Front. Putin was banking on NATO being split. My early conversation with him in December and early January, it was clear to me he didn't think we could sustain this cohesion. NATO has never been more united than it is today. Putin is getting exactly the opposite what he intended to have as a consequence of going into Ukraine. We've built that same unity with the European Union and with the leading democracies of the G7, in the G7. So I want to thank you, and I'll be now happy to take your questions. Since there's so many people out there, been given a list. Now, how about Chris of the Associated Press? First question.
Hi, thank you, Mr. President. So you've warned about the real threat of chemical weapons being used. Have you gathered specific intelligence that suggests that President Putin is deploying these weapons, moving them to position, or considering their use? And would the U.S. or NATO respond with military action if he did use chemical weapons?
You know, on the first question, I can't answer that. I'm not going to give you intelligence data, number one. Number two, we would respond. We would respond if he uses it. The nature of the response would depend on the nature of the use. Josh of Bloomberg.
Perhaps I'll just project, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
If I had your voice, I'd have been elected a lot earlier.
I'll give it a try. He's got a long arm. Thank you. Can you talk to us about two things, sir? One, since your conversation with President Xi of China, have you seen any indications of action or lack of action from China that has led you to believe whether they will intervene and help Russia, either with the sale of arms or the provision of supplies to support this war in Ukraine? And secondly, can you say whether the conversation today turned to the subject of food shortages and what the U.S. will do to address wheat shortages in particular as a result of this war? Thank you.
On the first question relating to President Xi Jinping of China, I had a very straightforward conversation with Xi now, I guess it's 7 days ago, in that range. And I made it clear to him, I made no threats, but I made it clear to him that make sure he understood the consequences of him helping Russia, as had been reported and as what was expected. And I made no threats, but I pointed out the number of American and foreign corporations that left Russia as a consequence of their barbaric behavior. And I indicated that I knew how much he, because we had long discussions in the past about his interest in making sure he had economic relations and economic growth with Europe and the United States, and indicated that he'd be putting himself at significant jeopardy in those aims if, in fact, he were to move forward. I am not going to comment on any detail about what we know or don't know as a consequence of that conversation, but tomorrow or next Monday that Ursula is having that conference with China, the first, on April 1st. We've had discussions because I think that China understands that its economic future is much more closely tied to the West than it is to Russia. And so I'm hopeful that he does not get engaged. We also did discuss today that there's a need for us to set up, NATO to set up, and the EU, to set up a system whereby we have an organization looking at who has violated any of the sanctions and where and when and how they violated them. And that's something we're going to put in train. It's not done yet. So with regard to Xi, I have nothing more to report. With regard to food shortages, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well. And because both Russia and Ukraine have been the breadbasket of Europe in terms of wheat, for example, just to give you one example. But we had a long discussion in the G7 with both the United States, which has a significant, the third largest producer of wheat in the world, as well as Canada, which is also a major, major producer. And we both talked about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. And in addition to that, we talked about urging all the European countries and everyone else to end trade restrictions on sending limitations on sending food abroad. And so we are in the process of working out with our European friends what it would take to help alleviate the concerns relative to food shortages. We also talked about a significant major U.S. investment, among others, in terms of providing for the need for humanitarian assistance, including food, as we move forward. Tarina of the Wall Street Journal. Watch out, you don't get hit in the head there now.
Mr. President, in your view, does President Zelensky need to cede any Ukrainian territory in order to gain a ceasefire with Russia, or is that completely off the table? And then also, do you think that Russia needs to be removed from the G20?
On the latter point, my answer is yes. That depends on the G20. That was raised today, and I raised the possibility, if that can't be done, if Indonesia and others do not agree, then we should, in my view, ask to have both Ukraine be able to attend the meetings, as well as basically Ukraine being able to attend the G20 meeting and observe. With regard to, what was the first question?
If you think that Ukraine needs to cease, to give up any territory in order to get a ceasefire.
That is a total judgment based on Ukraine. Nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. I don't believe that they're going to have to do that, but that's a judgment. There's negotiations, that are discussions, I should say, that have taken place that I have not been part of, including the Ukrainians, and it's their judgment to make. Cecilia, ABC. There you are.
Absolutely that way. Thank you. Sir, you've made it very clear in this conflict that you do not want to see World War III. But is it possible that in expressing that so early that you were too quick to rule out direct military intervention in this war? Could Putin have been emboldened knowing that you are not going to get involved directly in this conflict?
No and no.
You do not believe that? And to clarify on chemical weapons, if chemical weapons were used in Ukraine, would that trigger a military response from NATO?
It would trigger a response in kind. Whether or not you're asking whether NATO would cross, we'd make that decision at the time.
And my final question, because you're heading to Poland tomorrow, do you think that getting a firsthand look at the effects of this war on these millions of Ukrainians who have fled their country could change the way that you might respond?
I don't think so, because I've been to many, many war zones. I've been in refugee camps. I've been in war zones for the last 15 years, and it's devastating. And but the thing you look at the most is you see these young children. You see children without parents that are in those camps or in refugees. You see women and husbands, men and women who are completely lost and have no nose. You see the look, that blank look on their face, that absolute feeling of, my God, where am I? What's going to happen to me? And so what it will do, it will reinforce my commitment to have the United States make sure we are a major piece of dealing with the relocation of all those folks, as well as humanitarian assistance needed both inside Ukraine and outside Ukraine. For example, this is not something that Poland or Romania or Germany should carry on their own. This is an international responsibility. The United States, as a leader, one of the leaders in the international community, has an obligation to be engaged and do all we can to ease the suffering and pain of innocent women and children and men, for that matter, throughout Ukraine, and those who have made it across the border. I plan on attempting to see those folks, as well as I hope I'm going to be able to see, I guess I'm not supposed to say where I'm going, am I? But anyway, I hope I get to see a lot of people. Marcus of Der Spiegel.
Thanks, Mr. President. There's a presidential election coming up in 2024, and as you know, there are yes, that's true. And there are widespread concerns in Europe that a figure like your predecessor, maybe even your predecessor himself, might get elected president again. Are there any steps, anything you're trying to do and NATO is trying to do here these days to prevent what you're trying to do becoming undone 2 years from now? Thank you.
No, that's not how I think of this. I've been dealing with foreign policy for longer than anybody that's involved in this process right now. I have no concerns about the impact. I made a commitment when I ran this time. I wasn't going to run again. And I mean that sincerely. I had no intention of running for president again. And until I saw those folks coming out of the fields in Virginia carrying torches and carrying Nazi banners and literally singing the same vile rhyme that they used in Germany in the early 20s, or 30s, I should say. And then when the gentleman you mentioned was asked what he thought, and a young woman was killed, a protester. And he was asked what he thought. He said, "They're very good people on both sides." And that's when I decided I wasn't going to be quiet any longer. And when I ran this time, and I think the American press, whether they look at me favorably or unfavorably, will acknowledge this, I made a determination. No election is worth my not doing exactly what I think is the right thing. Not a joke. I'm too long in the tooth to fool with this any longer. And so we're a long way off in elections, a long way off. My focus, if any election, is on making sure that we retain the House and the United States Senate so that I have the room to continue to do the things that I've been able to do in terms of grow the economy and deal in a rational way with American foreign policy and lead the world, be the leader of the free world. So, but it's not an illogical question for someone to ask. I say to people at home, imagine if we sat and watched the doors of the Bundestag broken down and police officers killed and hundreds of people storming in. Or imagine if we saw that happening in the British Parliament or whatever. How would we feel? And one of the things that I take some solace from is I don't think you'll find any European leader who thinks that I am not up to the job. And I mean that sincerely. It's not like, whoa, it's that. The point is that when the first G7 meeting I attended, like the one I did today, was in Great Britain. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And one of my counterparts, colleagues, as head of state, said, for how long? For how long? And so I don't criticize anybody for asking that question. But the next election, I'd be very fortunate if I had that same man running against me. Thank you very, very much. Whoa. No. Yeah, one final question, right. Hey, look, wait, hold on a second, please. I was supposed to be an hour ago at the European Union meeting and to speak. No, I'm thanking you. So someone I haven't called on before. You. Who are you?
I'm Christina Rafiti from CBS. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, deterrence didn't work. What makes you think Vladimir Putin will alter course based on the action you've taken today?
Let's get something straight. You remember, if you covered me from the very beginning, I did not say that, in fact, the sanctions would deter him. Sanctions never deter. You keep talking about that. Sanctions never deter. The maintenance of sanctions, the increasing the pain, and the demonstration why I asked for this NATO meeting today is to be sure that after a month we will sustain what we're doing, not just next month, the following month.
Once again, you've been listening to President Biden address the media there in Brussels after his meeting with the UN. A couple of important things that he did point out that they had discussed and that the U.S. is doing. $1 billion is going to Ukraine for humanitarian assistance and other countries who are also helping out with those refugees. And the United States is ready to receive 100,000 refugees from Ukraine.
He also said that the summit produced new sanctions against Russia. They are going to be looking at 400 individuals. We're talking about Russian defense companies, oligarchs. And so they're also putting together 4 new battle groups in the Eastern European nations in order to bolster, fortify that particular area. They're worried that this is not the end of what President Putin wants in Ukraine.
He also wanted to emphasize to the NATO allies and to the U.S. citizens here that NATO has never been more united. He was asked about chemical warfare. If the Russians used chemical weapons in any kind of attack, and he said that the response would be in kind. It didn't go into specifics, but that he was asked that question actually 2 times. And he said that they would react in kind. That was the way he put it. He talked to President Xi of China and basically told him that you might want to stay out of this because you are more tied to the West as far as economics than you are to Russia. And we can put some sanctions on China as well.
Also, the NATO summit produced a question. Will Russia be removed from the G20? And also, will Ukraine be added to the G20? So they're beginning to what's taking shape right now is basically exactly what President Putin didn't want. He didn't want a unified, fortified NATO to get bigger and stronger. But that appears to be where they're headed.
Yeah, this was the first of 3 meetings that the president will take part in. He is started in Brussels and now he's headed to Poland, and then he'll have another summit with the G7, and then he'll head back to the United States. So 3 summits on this quick trip to Europe.
Meantime, we are going to get back here in the United States in San Antonio, Texas, and take a look at the weather.
Hey there, guys. Well, we're in the upper 60s, close to 70 right now. It's going to be a beautiful day. Beautiful day. We've got blue skies out there. The only thing that is causing a little bit of issue is that gusty wind. And now we're starting to see gusts up there around the 25 to 30 miles per hour. This is the forecast temperature for today. We're thinking 77 here in San Antonio. If you're watching from Bernie, 73 degrees there today. 72 Canyon Lake, 73 in New Braunfels this afternoon. And yes, a few 80s on the map down there around Carrizo Springs. 83 for you, 70 in Cuero, 74 in Kennedy. And then by tonight, that dry air, as you know, allows those temperatures to fall off pretty quickly. It'll be chilly tomorrow morning, 44 here in San Antonio. A lot of 40s on the map by tomorrow morning. It's another chilly start. But then the moisture starts to increase this weekend, and I think you'll see lows gradually start to jump up. Blue skies, as we mentioned, 67 at the airport. Dew point is all the way down to 15. That is some very, very dry air with north-northwesterly winds at 16 miles per hour. And these gusty winds are going to be in the range of 25 to 30 with those gusts. By, say, 3 o'clock, gusts to 31 in Helotes, gusting to 31 in Comfort. You get the idea here. These gusty winds combined with those very low dew points really does pose a significant risk for grass fires. Good news is that by this evening, these winds start to die down, and by tonight, we'll see much, much lighter winds. In the meantime, though, red flag warnings are in effect. Basically, all this means is that fires can start easily and spread rapidly with those gusts as high as they are. And this includes San Antonio, includes New Braunfels, because even here, relative humidity dew points are very, very low. And temperature-wise, 67 Kerrville, 74 right now in Hondo. We've made it up to 70 now at the airport, 71 in New Braunfels. And there's a look at the dew points. These numbers are extremely low. Look at the dew point in Uvalde, 12. 20 would describe desert air. So we are in basically desert air here that has funneled its way into South Texas. And that's why we are so very concerned. As far as the forecast goes, the winds will lighten up tomorrow, so there won't be as much as a fire threat on Friday. Picks back up a little bit on Saturday and Sunday, despite the fact dew points do increase a little bit. And then over the weekend, a little bit of a ridge builds in, and basically that just means we're going to get some good weather. Things change, though, by the time we get into Tuesday. Trough develops out west. This is another one of those sort of classic spring systems. It's going to affect a large portion of the country as it moves through. And depending on where it sets up, our rain chances may come up a little bit, but right now, just due to some of the uncertainty in the computer models, we're going to go with a 20% chance of some showers and storms. If we see some storms, say on Tuesday evening or early Wednesday, there is a chance there could be a couple strong ones mixed in there. It's just that setup again. So that's something we'll be watching. And that's our one and only chance of rain, really, in the 7-day forecast. So windy today, 77, 86 tomorrow. It's going to be a warm weekend, mid to upper 80s, both Saturday and Sunday. More clouds on Monday. We could see some fog or morning drizzle perhaps mixed in there for a couple days, Sunday into Monday. And then our chance of rain right now looks to be late Tuesday, early Wednesday. That's a time frame we'll be watching very closely in the coming days, but a pretty spring-like forecast here. And again, that red flag warning in effect through this evening. We'll be right back.
Right now on KSAT.com, the San Antonio Book Festival is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and this year's event's going to be in person on May 21st.
The festival canceled in 2020 and held virtually last year due to COVID-19. This year, more than 90 local, regional, and national authors are scheduled to attend.
You can take a look at the full lineup. It's in the Things to Do section of KSAT.com. And we want to thank you so much for joining us.
These two coming up write history. That's what they write.
Yeah?
Every show is a historic show.
Historically delicious. Usually there's some good food.
SA Live starts right
now.
And it is time to bust out the balloons and streamers. Fiesta's almost here. What you need to know about the citywide porch parade.
The San Antonio Book Festival is back. We reveal some of the big name authors and books being featured at this big weekend event.
And just step outside and you know that spring is here, and we have all the succulents and cacti you need to spring up your home. That's today on SA Live.
Celebrate San Antonio. Coming to you live from historic Market Square. This is SA Live.
Sylvia!
I just saw her.
Always great to see our favorite Spurs lady, Sylvia. Happy Happy Thursday, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Fiona Gorstiza.
And I'm Mike Osterhage. Oh my goodness gracious, it is so nice to just kind of forget about everything and be out here in the beautiful blue skies and great temperatures.
All right. Well, so we want to know, there's a lot going on. We've got Fiesta coming up, so things are just getting busier and busier and busier. And we know a lot of folks are just kind of racing through their days. But if you could eliminate one thing from your daily routine, what would it be and why?
What would it be?
It would be having to get up so insanely early, but you do that every day.
We were going to kind of qualify this, eliminate work or the alarm clock. Yes, that would be one thing, but my day gets over quicker and it just means I get to see her at the end of the day.
That's true.
I would say ironing my shirts.
Yeah.
So.
Just laundry in general.
Well, because I always the day before iron a couple of shirts for the next day for morning show and this show. So I guess it would be that. It's not a difficult task, but just one of those things that you have to do. So
let us know at SA Live KSAT on Facebook and Twitter what you would eliminate from your daily routine if you could pick one thing.
All right, fresh spring herbs, locally sourced fruits and vegetables all add up to delicious meals at Whiskey Cake at the shops at La Cantera. And joining us today with the new spring menu is Nick Snyder, who is the chef partner at Whiskey Cake. Welcome, sir.
All right, we're gonna have a smashing good time, right?
Yes, we are.
So we are making a
pastrami smash burger.
All right.
So that is our house blend burger. It's sirloin and brisket.
Okay.
Go ahead and smash it down. A little bit harder. Get it all the way down there.
Oh, even more so.
There you go.
All right. Is that good?
There you go.
There we go. All right. Now.
All right. Then there's a little bit of our seasoning. It's our house blend, salt and pepper.
Put that on there.
I mean, and that patty is incredibly juicy, right?
It is. There's a lot of fat in there, so it's brisket. You can't have a burger in Texas unless it's got brisket in it. So.
Absolutely, and you want
go.
that juice in there.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of our white edge cheddar.
Okay, just like that. A little bit more for posterity. And the topper this time around is pastrami, but we're not talking any pastrami, right?
No, this is Wagyu pastrami from Abar Farms.
I've never heard of Wagyu beef being turned into pastrami before.
Oh, we use it for a lot of things nowadays. It's a great addition. The pastrami on that, there's just a great flavor to it.
Oh, my goodness, I already love pastrami.
So these are our house-made. These are our house-made onion rolls. So it's a brioche roll with caramelized onions and a little bit of sea salt.
And those get toasted on here, and we've got one that's already done, which gets dressed up in a certain way too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So on the bottom, you've got our house-made mustard seed ketchup.
Okay.
So a little bit of that on there. You want to spread that from what we call coast to coast. You want to get it across every bit of that bun. So every bite, you get a little bit of that sauce on there.
All right, there we go.
There you go.
Okay. And then?
And then we add a little bit of some of our house-made horseradish pickles. Right on the bottom there. There you go, get it there.
All right.
And on the top bun, we smear a little bit of our jalapeno and garlic aioli.
Oh,
that
my
sounds
gosh,
good.
that sounds amazing.
Now, this burger is one of those, because if you go in and get it today, it's not going to be here next month. You change the menu up all the time, right?
So this is one of our switch-ups. So every 4 to 5 weeks, we switch up a sandwich on the menu and our deviled eggs. And then every 3 to 4 months, we do a switch-up on our desserts, on a seasonal dessert. So this one has about 2 weeks left running, and then we'll switch it up to a new one after that.
Okay. And are these some of the favorite dishes on the menu?
It's my favorite dish on the menu right now. You can't go wrong with pastrami and Wagyu, so you're good.
Okay,
yes, it tends to be one of the favorites in the menu. We have a lot of regulars that come in and look forward to the change.
My question is, though, because sometimes you go to a restaurant and there's that one thing you love on the menu, and then all of a sudden you go, oh no, they changed the menu. I mean, do people...
Not really, because we have our staples on our menu, but this is one of those things I look forward to getting as a change every so often.
Okay.
So those buns look like they're about ready to come off.
Okay, and then I will do these.
Another one going right there. And hand me the cheese, will you, chef? There we go.
I'm here for you.
All right, coast to coast on that bottom.
And you've got good cocktails, which we are going to be making a little bit later on.
What pairs well
that go
with
these.
Yeah.
Well, I am a old-fashioned guy. So I drink old-fashioned, smoked old-fashions all the time, but what we have for you later on is the little rye lies, and it's anything with a rye is a good pairing with that.
The other thing neat about the different sandwiches that you come up with, you said you sort of have a competition with all the chefs at all the different restaurants, right?
Right, so the switch-ups is something that we get to do as an opportunity to get creative in the kitchen and get away from the everyday menu, but it gives our team members an opportunity to shine. So the next switch up was written by one of our team members in our restaurant, and so that's going to go out to all 9 of our restaurants, and that's going to run for 3 or 4 weeks after this one is over with.
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you that. You have to come by and wait. You got to come check it out.
And of course, after you finish, you have the fabulous entrees, there's dessert, right?
There's dessert. So this is our chocolate olive oil cake. Careful.
I know, that's hot.
You don't have it. You don't have an apron.
Oh yeah, that's gonna. Oh yeah, it is juicy. Look at that.
Okay.
It doesn't suck, right?
That pastrami on there, that just makes the whole burger.
It does. It changes the whole thing.
The whole thing. So what makes this cake?
I'm happy.
This is our chocolate olive oil cake. What makes it special is the olive oil, and we put a little bit of the Luxardo cherry juice in the batter, so it gives it a much deeper flavor, and you get a little bit of that acidity from the olive oil, so it makes it a very moist cake.
Nice. All right. Now, of course, for more information on Whiskey Cake, just head to our website, salive.com, and click on the As Seen on SA Live tab, where we provided a link, or just snap that QR code on your screen. Remember, if you want to go enjoy this pastrami smash burger, you got to do it in the next couple weeks.
And you will enjoy it. Let me tell you, I'm a happy camper right now. So, all right, switching gears right now. From filling up on food to filling up balloons and hanging fun streamers, today we highlight a couple of businesses that are helping to add some Fiesta flair to our KSAT garden. Drive past and see it. This is absolutely gorgeous. We count down to our big porch parade special tomorrow right here on KSAT 12.
And so many people are feeling the Fiesta vibes early, and it's all thanks to businesses like these.
What's a huge Fiesta party without all the fun decorations? Rebecca Garcia with the Stream Factory and Natasha Diaz with the Balloons Boutique San Antonio are teaming up to Fiestify our KSAT garden as we count down to the biggest party of the year.
This year, we decided to go bigger than last year, kind of step things up, make it more colorful, a lot bigger, add in more streamers. So we went with a 30-foot wall. Last year we went with 25. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a big difference. That's over 100 feet, to be exact, of hand-cut, hand-tied streamers. We decided to try something we've never done before, which is go with this beautiful piñata-looking backdrop in the shape of a pentagon, just to kind of add as like a little, more Fiesta piñata type vibe.
Streamers, balloons, and some KSAT themed decor too. These two local businesses did not hold back to help KSAT throw the ultimate porch parade party. This is something they do all year long for all occasions, oftentimes teaming up for the celebrations.
So this started during the pandemic because we actually had a huge birthday party planned for my daughter that we had to cancel. And I ended up just going up to our attic and seeing what decorations I had to use because I wasn't able to use vendors like Balloons Boutique at the time. And so I just made do with what I had and didn't think that I was going to even get anything cute out of it, but ended up making it so fun that other friends asked if I could do their birthdays or drive-by parties.
So if you're looking to add some balloon art, maybe some streaming pops of color as well.
So to book with us, you can reach out to us through our website through an inquiry form, or you can give me a call. My website is www.thestreamfactorytx.com. We're available pretty much any day, every day for inquiries.
Hey, the Porch Parade special presented by the Battle of Flowers and Fiesta Flambeau Parades is 7 to 8 p.m. tomorrow right here on KSAT 12, hosted, of course, by Stephanie Cerna and Mark Austin. The winners, all the winners are going to be revealed and featured, and Jen Tobias Trusky even got to go surprise one local school with the great news.
So be sure to tune in, and for more information on the Stream Factory and Balloons Boutique San Antonio, just head to our website, salive.com, and click on the As Seen on SA Live tab, or just or just click on the As Seen on SA Live tab.
Yep. Still ahead on the show, we are salvaging succulents and doing some spring planting with the San Antonio Cactus and Xerophyte Society, and they have some great tips for us.
Plus, a KSAT community event that we will look forward to every year. The San Antonio Book Festival is happening again, and we're going to let you know everything you need to know and maybe have a little loteria fun too.